This is Eastmans Elevated podcast. I have on great guests that are really knowledgeable, consistently successful. We're able to dive deep down the rabbit holes of these different subject matters of shooting, of physical fitness, of mental toughness and drive. All the different skills that make up a complete hunter that you can become.
Here's your host, Barney.
We made it. 500 episodes of Eastmans Elevated. Man, I'm so proud of the work, steadfastness that we put into this podcast. We built a really good community. Really appreciate you guys listening in to each and every episode. So we've got a special episode today, an hour-and-a-half podcast with Cameron Haynes. Thanks to Cameron for taking the time and being on the podcast. He's always supported me and then taken the time to be on the podcast, means a bunch to me, and just wanted to bring you guys a really good recording for the 500th, and he's like such a great leader for us Western hunters. We talk about a few issues in the podcast, but we talk about making the right decision. We talk about giving the animal an honorable death, and then also he turns into a podcast host on the podcast and turns around and asks me questions on the podcast. And I was also really impressed at his fight for the sale of our public lands here recently. Tons of posts, tons of support coming out to support getting rid of this add-on to the bill, selling our public land. So I was so impressed at his effort and involvement there, and just a really good guy, and happy to bring you guys this episode. So we'll get right into it. I want to thank Sig Sauer. We're doing a 500th episode giveaway for you guys, and Sig Sauer is part of that. He supports both me and Cameron, and we're giving away one of the new image stabilizing Oscar 6 HDX Pro image stabilizing spotting scopes. So I've had a chance to use this spring. I'm really impressed by it. So you can handhold the spotting scope, so you don't need a tripod with it. You can bring a tripod, but that saves 2 pounds in itself. So you can handhold it. And this also helps when I spot a muley buck to get a quick look at him and not have to set up the whole tripod scope, which can take, seconds or a minute, where he can put away in the timber, so it's quick. Also, if I've got really windy conditions and I do have a tripod, it takes away all of that wind shake. It's really small in size, about the size of a Nalgene bottle. It's 16 by 32 for magnification, and it's got a 65 millimeter objective lens on the front. 62 millimeter, excuse me. Just a great spotting scope. So we're giving that away for the 500th. We are also giving away a signed copy of Undeniable with Cameron Haynes that he was nice enough to donate the giveaway. And also we're giving away some of his apparel from his line as well. So go out and support Cameron and his line, his new book, which is awesome. I bought his new book, been listening to it, and it's just a great read or a great listen. He does the audio book himself, which is great. I love it for like hunts, for long runs. Just makes the time really fly by. So go support him and get that. We're also giving away a Spot Hog Booney sight and a Wise Guy release. So that's from Spot Hog as well. So check those things out. All you got to do is go to eastmans.com/elevated500. We'll put a link in the show notes to it so you can click on it. I'll also put a link in my social media as well. So get on there. It'll be really easy, like maybe an email or something like that, and you'll be entered in to win, and we'll be giving all this stuff away to help show you guys our appreciation for the support of the podcast. So there's also going to be Eastman's Elevated 500th episode shirts on there, so a limited run of shirts, and I believe we'll give some of those away, but some of them will be available for purchase. So check that out, everything we have going at Eastman's. We're starting the new season of Beyond the Grid. Dan Picar's limited entry giant bull elk hunt from last year will be the first episode, which should be out now. You can go check out on Eastman's Hunting TV on the YouTube. and my high country hunt will be short to follow. And if you do have a subscription to Eastman's Bowhunting Journal magazine, there'll be a QR code in there to get early access to the film. So check that out. We have our Elite Bundle membership. So basically it bundles together both magazines, a subscription, Eastman's Tag Hub, the Deer Collective, the Elk Collective, all for one price. So you can check that out. We're doing a bunch of giveaways there as well. And check out the other podcasts I do with Dan Picar, Eastman's Bowhunting Journal, Life of a Bowhunter. We have some great conversations on there. It's a bi-weekly podcast on a different feed, and everything that we're doing over at Eastman's. So won't hold things up any longer. Let's get into this podcast. It's a great one. Cameron Haynes is the guest. I'm your host, Brian Barney, Eastmans Elevated. Here we go. Hey, Cam, good to see you.
Hey, Brian, how's it going?
Yeah.
What a great day. Talk about bow hunting, huh?
Yeah, for sure. It's the best. Yeah, I sure appreciate your time coming on the podcast. Looks like you got in some workouts this morning.
Yeah, no, it's been just trying to get back in the groove. Been busy and on the road, so which I hate. I like being in my routine, but sometimes we have to do what we got to do.
Yeah, I do too, for sure. Man, congrats on the book. Undeniable. It's going well.
Yeah, really, I'm really fortunate that people care about what I do. And Undeniable is a little bit different because Endure was kind of like my origin story. This one is kind of the lessons I've learned, as you know, if you've looked at it from, people like yourself, just true outliers that I feel like, if we're doing life right, we're taking nuggets from people who we admire, look up to, and hopefully it can enhance our lives. And that's what Undeniable is about, is just learning from winners in life and trying to be better.
Dude, it's so good. You have like such a skill set for expressing yourself through the written word, and then to be able to highlight these outliers, like you say, and to be able to really tie it to your pursuits and your mindset, and just to show off the discipline and hard work mindset. It reminds me, and I think it reminds everybody, that greatness can be obtained and that they are just regular people that put in the work. And so it's so inspiring. I'm only about halfway through it. Like I selfishly save it for like big hunts, or I selfishly save it for big runs and things, as it gives me a ton of motivation. But dude, it's so good.
Oh, well, thank you. It's yeah, I think we're at a pretty lucky place. I know there's people out there who are just struggling every day just to put food on the table, just to survive. So, and provide for their families. And I think it's a luxury to be able to chase dreams like we do. And so, and I never want to lose sight of that. It's there's people who in different parts of the world who, I mean, having big dreams isn't even realistic. And we're able to basically have the biggest goals that we want, shoot for the moon. And with hard work, we can get there. And I never want to lose sight of that how fortunate we are, but also it is real that, as you said, it's like the harder you work, that things can happen, and people have done that. And every person in Undeniable, and I put you in this group too, Brian, is they've all taken whatever it is, whatever field it is. For us, it's bow hunting, of course, but for them, it doesn't matter what it is: science, music, anything. And that's their passion, and they went all in on it. And now they're, as I say, outliers at the top of their field. So what you care about or what you love doesn't matter. It's just chasing it with abandon for decades. And that's where the magic is. And we're able to do that. And I just, we're very lucky, but we have a lot of people that have this blueprint that we can follow, and hopefully, it turns into more success for us in the mountains.
Yeah, it definitely will. There's levels to this game, and guys like me and you, we're not finished. Like we continue to evolve and get better, and so this is something that I can build on. I don't have the exact excerpt from the book, but I love that when you talk about Goggins and you talk about the tougher the situation gets, the tougher he gets and the more he puts out there. And I kind of relate it to like talking to my buddies, like that dog in you that when things get difficult, it brings out the most of you. And like a great example is the race that you kicked off to start this book launch, the Cocodona 250. Dude, that is so difficult. It was amazing to watch, and amazing to watch your mindset and framing. Like you just started this conversation talking about gratitude and how we're lucky to have the opportunity to chase our dreams. And I watched your attitude during that race of always framing things in a positive light. It's just amazing. Goggins, that race, like the whole thing is amazing to be able to learn from guys like you and guys like him.
Yeah, I don't, I don't want, I am, during that race, I was trying to be positive the whole time, because if you're not, those things are almost impossible. I mean, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. Anytime I've done those 200, I mean, I've said this on the podcast, but Truett said, because I was having issues with my leg for a long time, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to do that race. And so obviously I got it done. But Truett said, "So was it not that bad, because your leg kind of cooperated?" And I'm like, "No." I said, "I don't know how I did it, that race, Cocodona, and I don't know how I've done any of the other 200s. They are just so freaking hard." And you don't remember how hard they are, or you kind of push it out of your mind, just like everybody who they do a marathon and they're like, "I'm never doing that again," and then pretty soon they're signed back up, right? So you kind of forget how bad that stuff hurts. Just, I mean, we have hunts the same way, where we've been so miserable, and when we reflect back on it, it's not that miserable part we remember. It's the hard work and how it paid off and how it made us feel and the confidence it gave us. Well, those races are no different. However, right in the middle of it, it feels it feels like I can't even describe how hard it is. It's like, and you can't simulate it. That's what I always say is, I can't simulate what it feels like to only have 2 hours of sleep and 67 hours of moving. And everybody wants to do that. They want to test themselves. They want to come out on the other side. But if you can't simulate it, how do you really prepare? And then when you're in the middle of it, you're like, this feels, I don't know. It's just incredible what the human body is capable. I think that's the lesson I take from it is I lose confidence in myself sometimes. And then those little things where you push through just like a hard hunt, it just builds, but still it's never easy. I mean, I know you're gonna say, if I ask you right now if you've been on bow hunts where you think that there's no way it's gonna happen, you'll say, "Yeah, I've been there." But you just keep grinding and it does happen. But there's always that feeling of, I'm going to get my ass handed to me on this one. And finally, I'm not, I can't do it. It's just too hard. But those moments, that's where we make or break our legacy, really is. Yes, we could quit, but we don't. And we just have to keep learning that lesson, I think.
Yeah, it's the physical aspect, but yeah, even more so the mental aspect to it is just crazy to me. And then to have your goals be bigger than self-preservation. Like there's aches and pains that I would imagine go along with that. And I've done some long races, but never the 200 miles. And I want to put myself in that difficult situation, but there has to, like, that goal in your mind of finishing this overall goal, all the training you put into it, it has to outweigh the self-preservation, or you just believe that you're going to be okay in the end. But that's the amazing thing, is to have all those aches and pains and wonder if you're doing damage to yourself, or if it's even worth it in the end. But that overall goal that you set, that you were going to finish that race. And there's a lot of great racers that DNF off those races that do not finish. For you to set that goal and then to deal through all that pain, it to anything to me, like, it shows the mental fortitude and mental toughness and grit and all these things that we've been working for a whole life, man. It's just amazing. Really inspires a lot of people out there. And I can't imagine what you felt like in the middle of that race, man. I still can't.
Yeah, it's just like, we take these hunts one day at a time, one stock at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time, especially if weather comes in. We're just, trying to survive it and not not get into such a hole that we can't get out of, right? So that's what these races are, is you're going to get in a hole, but it you can't fall so far behind on nutrition, hydration, things like that, to where you can't get out of it. So to me, it's like I take a lot of lessons I learned from these long endurance events, and I parlay them into what I can use on the hunt, and then vice versa. But you know, I know that you have the same mindset to overcome, and that's the reason why you're a great bow hunter. And it's so hard to quantify what that takes. You know, I've talked about Courtney a lot, about how to measure willpower, and I've talked to Huberman about it. It's like, how do we measure willpower? How does one guy, or one, woman in her case, just want it more than another, even though same goals, we're the same species, we're we all might be in great shape. What is that? What is that deciding factor? And I don't know. Nobody's ever been able to explain it to me. But there's something innate in our. I don't know what it is, but some people can just keep pushing and keep pushing, and that's what's beautiful about life, is that maybe that's my skill, and maybe somebody else has another skill that they can also use to achieve their dreams. But I just don't. I'm fascinated by what makes our brain, what makes somebody like a Goggins or a Courtney be able to go into this other realm of existence, to where they can just push and push and push. And that's, I'm just fascinated with tapping into that. And that's all I'm trying to do, is learn from these people. And I'm just like, I want to be more, I don't want to say bulletproof, because we're all mortal. But just like have that, no matter what the situation, unwavering confidence that I'm going to get it done no matter what. And each time we do things like that, like the test, like the Cocodona, or your hard hunts, we add to that. We add to that layer, and that's the beautiful thing about being a human is our growth is never over. We change, our bodies change, our mindset changes, our circumstances in life change, our priorities might change, but we can always add to it. And that's what's fascinating about it. As you said at the beginning, we're not done. I feel like I'm the best hunter I've ever been, and really in the best shape. So, and I'm 57. So, like, we're just going to keep doing this thing. And that's, how exciting is that?
The most exciting. Yeah, I think that's what your book highlights, is your fascination with mental toughness and grit. And I think I think the more we can get that dog out of ourselves, and I think it's through, like, I think you highlight it perfectly. It's through doing difficult things, and it's through doing difficult things day in and day out, adding those layers of mental toughness, those layers of calluses, and then we can draw from those tough experiences, whether it's a tough hunt, whether it's running every single day, whether it's cold tub, whether it's sauna, whether it's it's also like having to perform under pressure. You're having to talk in front of people. You're doing difficult things constantly. And like listening to Huberman, listening to you, like, I think that is the answer. The more difficult things we do in life, day in, day out, the more mental fortitude we find and mental toughness we find. And those people that you highlight in the book, they've gone through fire to get to where they're at. And it's all from this burning desire, this passion. Same thing that me and you have from bow hunting. They found it in other fields, but it's applying that day in, day out, and never accepting a no, or never accepting an excuse. And also, like, being able to frame things in your own mind, like being able to get perspective on things, or like, going out and working out with you 2 years ago. Like, it's amazing. Your body is built from the mountains and running in the mountains and putting in all this time, to where I show up, I'm used to being the fittest guy in the room. I'm used to killing the runs and killing the climbs. And put it in perspective, like, hey, there's levels to this, and there are people that are working harder than you. Like, I have more to give. And when I give more, I accomplish more in life. I'm happier in life. And that carries over to not only bow hunting, but everything else I do. And I think that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And when you came out here, you did kick ass. You are, I'm no doubt you're the fittest person, in any group you're around. and that's, that's how we grow, is like we expose ourselves. A lot of people don't want to put themselves in position to where it's going to be a test, right? And that's what we love. We love that test. We're not shying away from the test because that's where we grow. I love running with Olympians. I love running with Courtney. I I can't. I mean, I don't understand how she can do what she does, but I love that test. And I told her, I said, anytime I train with you, it's harder than any race I ever do. So I train basically all year just to be ready for her. And I just can't explain how much I love being around excellence. And, I talk about in the book, I talk about, average, or people compare themselves to average and convince themselves they're great. I want to compare myself to the greats. I'm not trying to get some false confidence. I want to get my ass kicked because I want to be like, okay, you said there's levels. Fine. I want to get to my highest level. I don't know what that is if I don't ever test myself against these, incredible athletes. But um, one thing I will say, and, I've talked to Trude about this, my son. One thing he, like a kind of a superpower he has is he can get his ass kicked. Like, he's trying to get the world record in pull-ups. It was 8,000 at this time. And one attempt, he only got 4,000. So essentially that's a huge failure. 4,000 pull-ups is still a lot, but it was half of the goal, right? He never wavered. He's just like, okay, I'm not tough enough. I haven't trained enough. That's on me. So the next time he was like, when he got the record, it was never in doubt because of that training. He was doing 2,000 pull-ups a day, 7 days a week, 14,000 a week. The record was 9,250, but he's just like, yeah, I got my ass kicked. That's on me. And he came back and got it. And he just did this last man standing, like probably a couple of weeks ago in Texas, and essentially got his ass kicked again when his goal is to win the race. And he's still like, okay, it's on me. I got to get better. I got to get tougher. It's not like I'm never doing that again because I'm not good at this or I don't have what it takes. Like some people could think. They could think, I don't I don't like feeling like a failure. I'm going to like focus on something else. Maybe I'll play pickleball. And failure there probably doesn't hurt as bad. But that superpower of no, this is where we learn. And it sounds easy and everybody says stuff like this, but people have a hard time embracing that. And then the other point I was going to say, which maybe this will inspire a question for you, but one thing about like, say, Courtney, who's the greatest, I don't know, could be in history of ultra running, the greatest ever talent. But the reason why is she just loves the mountains. She doesn't, whether there's races or not, wouldn't matter. She just wants to be in the mountains. That's why she's great. And we're going to do like an overnight knock out a couple 14ers, take a camp up there and stay on top of the mountain. No race, just us doing this big adventure. And she can't wait. So she's the best in the world at racing, but all she wants to do is big adventures. And to me, that's true love of what, her passion is. And for us, whether it was social media, if you weren't working for Eastmans or you weren't on, doing things like this, or I wasn't doing my podcast, nothing would change.
Mm-mm.
We'd be doing the same shit every day. We just kind of share it because we love it, but we don't do it to share it. We do it because this is what we do. We're freaking mountain bow hunters, regardless of who's watching. And that's the lesson I've, in the book, and that's the few people that I mentioned. Constant self-improvement and true passion for what you do. And if you don't have those two things, you're going to be average. I mean, you're just going to muddle around. That's all there is to it. And so I try to lean into, what I love and then just constant self-improvement.
Yeah. You nailed it with True. Like that's the like he is undeniable. Like he comes back stronger from his failures. And I think like you can't be afraid to fail or take on these giant challenges. And so, that's what you did in Cocodona. It's like you don't know if you can finish that or not. You don't know if your body's going to hold up or not. Like you are truly testing yourself. And I think you're right. You can't keep it safe and insulated. Like, you could have gone out and won a smaller marathon. You could have gone out and done 100 miles. Instead, you took on the biggest challenge you could handle. And then you went out and executed on it. So I think that's beautiful. And I think you're right. Like, you have to find the right reasons for what you're doing and what you want to accomplish. And for bow hunting, yeah, it's if we didn't have any social media, podcast, anything, we'd still be doing exactly what we're doing because we love it. We love the process of training for it. We love the process of the hunt. We love the difficulty of it. And when I go on these big backcountry hunts, I'm not sure if I'm going to be successful on a giant buck or not, but I know I'm going to give my absolute all for every day that I have. And I might even add a couple days towards the end. Like, I'm going to give my all to it. And I think that's the beautiful thing, is like, we're taking on such big challenges that it requires that we go into these big challenges, and we might not come out on top. I'm not 100% on my bow hunts. I might fail on my goal, but I like to set these big lofty goals because it takes all this preparation, all this work, and then really leaving all of myself out there in the mountain. And so I think you're right. If you have a passion or you want to be great at something, don't fall in love with the accolades. Don't fall in love with the compliments. Don't fall in love what people think of you. Fall in love with the process. Fall in love with the hunt and chasing your quarry and that dance of predator and prey. Fall in love with the preparation that leads up to it, because you know you're getting your body and mind ready for this big challenge. So yeah, man, I think that's like one of the biggest lessons or biggest takeaways. And yeah, I love the example of Courtney, that she just loves the mountains and running in the mountains. And if she wasn't doing any races, if she wasn't winning, she'd be doing the same thing, big adventures in the mountains. And that's the same for you and I.
Yeah, it's it reminds me of another. You know who J.B. Mooney is?
Mm-hmm.
A bull rider.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like one of the most famous bull riders of all time. But I was just talking to him, and I'm not trying to take shots at anybody, but he mentioned bull riding. He goes, there's some bull riders who like the idea of just being a bull rider. They just like the idea of being a bull rider as opposed to actually being a bull rider, like what it takes. And he's just hardcore, grew up doing it his whole life. So it's kind of like what we did, where, people say, oh, you're just doing this for social media. I'm like, I was doing this way before social media. Nothing has changed. I've got a little better since I started, but it's like nothing has changed. And same with him, where he'll see these young guys, and it's just like, I think there's some hunters out there who like probably have a goal of being a famous hunter. To me, that's different than actually loving to bow hunt and loving the challenge of the mountains. Those are two different things. And I just don't think if your goal is to be famous, I just don't think it's going to work. I mean, I think that's the wrong path. And I just don't think you're ever going to have the success you want, because that's not what it's about. And I don't think the universe rewards that. I think it rewards true passion.
Oh, it's so true. Well, the craft of bow hunting too, it's not something you get good at in one day, 1 week, or 1 month, or 1 year. Like, it's a lifetime pursuit of trying to improve your skill sets. And if you don't like failure, bow hunting's not for you. Like, I have failed every way possible. I've missed shots. I've missed yardages. I've spooked animals because I've gone too quick. Like, I have made so many mistakes through my career, and they hurt. They cut deep, because I love bow hunting with every fiber of my being. And so when I make a mistake on a big buck, it cuts deep. Like, you may have 100 miles into the hunt and climbed 50,000 vertical feet just to get this one chance. And then I messed it up. I wasn't clutch in the end. And so what it is it's back to the drawing board. It's back to putting in the work, learning from that failure, and coming back better than before. Because in our craft of bow hunting, like, not only do we have to be fit and have the right mindset, we also have to be clutch under extremely high amounts of pressure, and that's difficult to wrap our brains around. That's difficult to master. And so, like, if you want to be a great bow hunter, or you want to have a big social media following, it's never going to work out, because it's going to take so much work and so much of yourself, that you're going to have to sacrifice to be great at it, that they're just never going to get there. I love what you said too about the universe doesn't reward that. Yeah, that sticks with me. I really like that, because I think you're spot on.
I've just seen it. I've seen people where and I don't know people's heart, but you can kind of see. And I was a young bow hunter who had big goals too and wanted to be a writer. So I'm not like throwing water on everybody, but I just know over time you figure out, or it's very evident who actually loves it and who has maybe some ulterior motives. I love people who love it like I do. And I want those, there's some guys here, Wyatt Seabright. I don't know if you've talked to him, but Nathan Endicott, some young bow hunters. I know did you have Cam Canaday on?
I did. Yep.
Yeah. So I listened to that one too, but there's some young guys who they just love, those guys. I, I, I love seeing the younger generation that has that type of passion. Those are the guys who I'm thinking. I'm not even thinking about. I don't even know anybody who personally who like is maybe chasing the wrong goals. I don't really know, but because I don't pay attention, but I pay attention to people who I'm like, I want that guy to succeed because I really believe his heart's in it. And it's not for me to say who deserves it and who doesn't. So I'm not trying to sound like that. Because I've chased my own ego. I've made plenty of mistakes. I'm flawed as anybody. Um, but it warms my heart to see young men and women who are just out there grinding. There's another girl here in town, Mackenzie's her name, and she just trains so hard. She killed a spike bull with her bow, and she works her ass off. And I just love to see people like that succeed. So um, I just love what we do. I love this whole thing. My days with Eastmans were some of the best days. Mike giving me that chance, even though half the time I felt like he hated me, but it's like giving me that chance with Eastman's changed my life. And I was that young guy who just wanted to see my story printed. And I know you remember that because you were reading the magazine too, but it's just like we're at maybe one end of the journey now, but I still always will hold dear and just love that the beginning, the grind. And man, it never ends. It's just like it's never easy.
No, it never ends, and the enjoyment's in the process, in that grind. It's I love it. I love training for these hunts. I love being on them. I love being in the mountains. Like it's what I feel like I was put on this earth to do, and I'm really gonna give it my all to get the most out of life, and also to fulfill my own goals and ambitions, and just love adventures in big mountains. And so like yeah, as far as like instincts throughout the years, bow hunting does not come easy, and it's about making the right moves at the right time. So I just want to dive into some of your bow hunting, and I congrats on that bear too recently. God, what a mental grind that thing was for that bear. That's a different kind of grind. It's not a physical, but it's a mental grind. Now I've been on those before as well. It's not always about how many miles you hike or how many mountains you climb. Like a lot of it is strategy, and a lot of it is like time, like trying to be patient and trying to have things work out. But that bear, that was a heck of a mental grind. What a bear, an 8-footer. That is crazy, but it looked like it was a mental grind to me.
Oh, and I've said this that so my advantage is physical. I can, I train hard to be able to push, and I feel like I can. If I have an advantage over anybody else, it's that, right? So my endurance. That was gone. That's gone on a bear hunt. So any advantage I have in normal life in bow hunting is gone because I'm sitting at bait for bear, right? So anybody can do that. I'm like, well, I have no advantage now, so I don't know what I'm going to do. Nobody's seen this bear. The bear I was going after, no hunter had seen it. It's an old bear, probably 20 years old. Everybody knew about it. It's been on trail camera at night. It's giant, 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 and everybody has hunted it for years. I think Bert Soren's dad saw it in 2019, back behind the bait, kind of skirt through the brush. It's the only time a hunter's ever seen this bear, and it had never been to the bait. So I'm like, well, if I have no advantage, my normal advantage, my only advantage is I will just sit longer than anybody ever has, because that's all I can do. And so my poor cameraman, James, was, with me, but we were sitting like in one 3-day stretch, sat 40 hours. And this bear came in, which is, I was like, So we talk about bow hunting and how hard it is. I've killed quite a few things. I've been doing it a long time. I still question whether I've lost my edge because this bear came in to 12 yards 3 times. And no hunter had ever seen it. Came in 3 times and left without an arrow in it. And I'm just like, who am I that an animal can be 12 yards away and leave and I not kill it? And this bear, it reminded me of this brown bear I killed. They're so smart that they know where you're at and they will not give you their side. And maybe it's a quartering barely, but not broadside or quartering away, which is I'm very disciplined on my shooting, especially I would never want to wound an animal he deserves. If you're going to get killed, deserves to do it right and a good shot. But he would just not turn and I was just going crazy. So I'm sitting here waiting. The first time he came in, he'd come in following a sow in the afternoon one time. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go in there early, like 11 or noon, and sit till like 10 or 11 that night. And he came in at 1:30, first time in the sun looking, and I'm just like, okay, I got him. I was like, here's how confident I was. 12 yards away, giant boar. I'm like, convincing myself a little bit that I feel bad for killing him. I'm like, man, this bear has survived so much, and this is his last day. And I almost had this kind of melancholy type emotional thing where it's like, no, this is what I do, and I'm going to be the one who kills him. And so I was like, I was done. I mean, he was dead. And he's like, was there for 10 minutes facing me the whole time, turns and I come to full draw right when he starts to turn, never stopped at all. And I never stopped bear like an elk, like you would an elk or a deer to get a shot. And he just walked away. And I'm just like, oh my God, what just happened? And gone. And that was it. And I'm just sitting there, just head in my hands, just like, I am the worst bow hunter ever. So sometimes sometimes I think I'm the best bow hunter in the world. And then sometimes I'm like, I'm the worst bow hunter in the world. So that's the roller coaster of bow hunting. Well, point is, he came in. So I'm like, okay, he knows he knows how this is set up, right? So he knows there's a blind here. I only hunt on the ground for bear. So he knows there. I'm going to make this separate little tiny blind just for me over here to the side. So he's going to come in, focus on this blind. I'm going to be on the side, and I'm going to smoke him, and he'll have an idea. So next night he comes in and everything perfect. And I'm just like, okay, I'm in my little blind. He follows the sow in full draw. I'm just getting ready. His leg was just tiny bit back. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to wait. He'll take one step. Right then, the sow he followed in, another sow started to come in. She chased him, kind of spooked him, and he turned like that, walked away. And that was it, gone. And I'm just like, oh my. So it was, anyway, long story short, it was so freaking hard. The hours, the rain, sitting there, my back was hurting so bad. This bear was kicking my ass. He kept coming in and out and not getting an arrow. And so it was, I questioned all my ability, all my decision making, whether I was, I said that Cocodona race was a fraud check. I'm like, well, maybe this is actually a fraud check, and I am a fraud because I can't kill this thing. And so to overcome that, just like the race, that's where we learn, right? And so that hunt is going to stand out. I love a hunt like that way better than if I would have went in first night, giant bear comes in and I smoke him. To me, that sucks. I want a story. I want a journey. I want the experience. So to have to stay to kill this bear on day 9 of a 5-day hunt, couldn't went any better. Just my dream hunt.
That's the best, man. I love hearing about that.
Sorry, that's a long story. Sorry about that.
No, that was perfect. It describes like the exact emotions and feelings you were going through, and also like articulates the challenge of these older age class animals. It's like for mule deer, it's like I could kill a 3 or 4 year old buck at 4 point, no problem. Like they'll stand and look back at me and they make mistakes, but you go kill a 7, 8, 9 year old mule deer, like that buck has sharpened his instincts. He's keen. He knows his environment. He doesn't make many mistakes. And as soon as he feels the pressure, he adapts. And I'd imagine like, well, I know it's the same thing on this bull on bulls like that. 7-7 I killed last year was a big old bull that had survived so many hunting seasons, ivory's worn down to nothing. And to be able to outsmart an animal like that, like that's the true challenge of bow hunting, and it takes our everything to be able to accomplish it. So I bet you have that same challenge hunting elk. Like creative thinking in bow hunting is rewarded, and also problem solving. If it was easy what we did and we went out all the time and killed these giant critters, we wouldn't get the enjoyment out of it. It wouldn't require all the preparation that we put into it, all the shooting, all the running, the everything that we pour into it. And so I think that's the challenge. And I bet you find that with those bulls as well, especially in the herd dynamics with all those cows and some of those great bulls that you've harvested. Like it's the ultimate challenge, and it'll actually make you question whether it's possible or not to kill that animal, or whether it's possible for us to be able to harvest that animal to get it all right. But it definitely isn't black and white. It's like gray, and you have to make decisions and really listen to your instincts as you're going. And, like you said, a fraud check for bow hunting. And I'll have those thoughts run through my head, but I try to keep positive and I try to believe that I will get them killed. And I try to just keep theorizing on what's the right move, or where is he susceptible? Where's a chink in the armor of this bull from where he's bedding to where he's feeding, and where can I intercept that? So it's got to be the same thing for you with these giant bulls. Like they've got to be the ultimate challenge where you don't always get it done in the days allotted, or don't get it done, like have to go back and create more days. But I would imagine it takes everything for you to kill some of these older age class animals.
Yeah. As you said, you can go pretty straightforward and kill some younger animals. I'm always, it feels like problem solving, just like making that little blind for the bear. That's how I killed him. But that last bull I killed at San Carlos, I climbed that tree at the water hole because I was worried about the wind kind of swirled in this, kind of like this, came down. They came off the mountain there down to the water, but when the sun goes down, that wind gets unstable, especially around water. It's water does even weirder stuff. So I'm like, I always, no matter what's the situation, whether it's a bear bait, a bull coming in, a water hole sitting, I'm always like taking an inventory of what's going on, um, what the challenges might be, and then how I might overcome them. It's never like, okay, set up here, or you get back there, I'm gonna set up here. And it's like that works sometimes. It is really hard to call in like one of these old giant bulls. They've been around so much. And so sometimes you have to think outside of the box. I killed the Thai bull climbing a tree. I killed this last bull climbing a tree. And I killed this last bear just in a ground blind off to the side that I made. And I think that's what it takes to get to that next level animal that we're talking about. Of course, and people are going to say, oh, well, San Carlos, this and that, which, yeah, of course, you have to hunt areas that are hold giant bulls. Just like you can't kill a giant bear if you're not hunting where giant bear live, right? So I get people, there's going to be criticism in this and that. But I remember, I think it was a conversation you had. What's that? Is it Sean Mayland or Melland?
Yeah, exactly.
And he was in on this bull, and I sent him this message because he was in on this giant bull he was hunting, and I think he was set up above it and it was bedded. And he waited and waited and waited and waited, and it never got up and gave him a shot. And so I sent him a message, and I would like just be driving myself crazy thinking like, should I have cow called, right? Come to full draw, or whatever. If you got to read, you can come to full draw, then cow call, or a cow call, come to full draw and get ready. And would that have given Sean that opportunity? Because what he did obviously didn't work. So hindsight's 2020. You always, now of course it's easy to say, oh, you should have cow called. But those situations, I was like listening to you guys talk about that and like trying to learn to think, what would I do the next if I'm ever faced with that? And it's like, I learned so much, even though I've been doing this for a long time. You're not in every situation every other hunter is. And if you think you know it all, you're never evolving. So I'm listening to all your conversations. And like that one with Sean, who he's, obsessed with giant bulls. And I'm like, what can I learn from these guys talking, these, tip of the spear type bow hunters? And it's like that I'm fascinated with that. So I think the key take was I don't know everything. I'm always trying to evolve and look at situations like how do I take advantage of maybe a chink in this animal's armor, and then just always learning, just whether it's from these outliers or from just people like you and Sean in that discussion. I just we're just I just love it. I just love that we're able to, this community is able to, being a hunter means something, and we can all learn from each other and just continue to get better. And it's just, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a rambling BS answer. I didn't even know what I was, if that's an answer or whatever, but just wanted to add that.
It was. It's I think that's really important. Being a student of the game and constantly learning and not feel like you know everything. I think that's a mindset like anything. Like the moment you think you're something special, like bow hunting will humble you. I had a great buck last year. I had a West Yoder, which he was my cameraman on that hunt, and I had a buck that I hunted for 5 days that I finally got a shot at, and he was bedded looking away from me, and I whispered to Wes, I said, "Hey, we're gonna shoot him right here," and when he whispered something back like, "Where is he?" Because he was like behind the fir tree. And when I looked back down, that buck was staring right at us. And I was like, oh no. So we stayed frozen for 5 minutes, 6 minutes as that buck stared at us. He finally tried to make his escape 56 yards broadside, had a range, got to full draw, executed my shot. And as that arrow is about halfway in between me and that buck, he starts going and it hits behind his butt and never touches him. And you talk about being crushed. Like, we had hunted this buck and climbed so much elevation, put so much effort into it. And in that moment, like, got out of the way of the arrow. And so, like, we videoed it. Like, when you don't want to turn the camera on is probably the best time to turn it on. Like, you see the emotion of my face, and it's like, well, I can either go home and pout my feelings and feel bad about myself, or I get this bow, I pick myself up and get back after it. Now, that buck, he never made a mistake. He stayed in the buck brush. We actually had to leave him a couple days later and go find a different buck, and was able to arrow like a really nice old heavy bladed buck. But bow hunting will crush you. Like, how do you deal with like those failures or those setbacks? Like, when everything seems like it's against you, like what do you do mentally to like come back from the same is true, it came back from that pull-up record, is to put in more work or put in more effort. But those can be difficult, those highs and lows of a hunt. Do you try to keep like pretty in the middle as far as your feelings, not too hard on yourself? Is it something where you get frustrated and angry, and then you have to kind of pull yourself out of that and go, hey, I'm still bow hunting, I'm still here on the mountain, like, this is what I've trained for all year? Like, how do you pull yourself out of like negative things that happen, or failures, or things of that nature?
Well, I mean, I do want to say also, what I know Wes hunted with Wes. All he talked about was just how tough you were and how good in the mountains you were. So I love hearing stuff like that, because I know that, but I love hearing validation about people who I admire from others, and saying, man, Wes just said, yeah, Brian is, yeah, he's a badass and great bow hunter. And so that was pretty cool to hear. Because also Wes is very tough. Wes is a good hunter.
Yes, he
Um,
is.
man, he's like one of those kids who, he just loves the mountains, as we're talking about. He's going to have success because he's just always out there, right? And so it's perfect that he filmed you, and you guys, I'm sure, got along great just because shared interests. But I loved hearing his assessment of you. But what I think about is that I have worked too hard to fail. And is that BS? Probably, but it's like, it gives me confidence. And because of course anybody can fail. Bow hunting is, the hardest game out there. It's not even a game. I hate when people call it a game. It's a lifestyle, but it's the hardest thing to do, or the hardest thing I've ever done. So I've just convinced myself that I put in so much work, I am going to succeed eventually. And That doesn't mean I don't question myself. That doesn't mean I don't have moments where no, I'm fake, and I no, I'm not tough, and it doesn't matter how hard I've worked, that this is the time I'm, going to get my ass handed to me. But after those moments of doubt, I'm like, no, I've been here before. I've overcome greater challenges than this, and other people have too, and I'm going to again. And so, while I might waver sometimes, because that's life, and that's how our brains work. I think you're delusional if you don't think you can fail. So I'm not delusional. I don't think that I'm, any better than anybody. I just think that I've worked so hard, and I have to rely on my instinct, my hunting instincts, because they've been developed over, since I was 15. So what is that, 43 years now? So that has to mean something. I've been doing this for 43 years. So I trust myself. I trust I'm going to make good decisions, and I trust my training. And regardless of the circumstance, regardless of what happens, the weather, the animals, the whatever's going on, I'm like, I am going to succeed. Eventually I'm going to succeed, because that's my only option. I'm not quitting until I do. And it's worked out for a long time.
Yeah, that resonates with me. Yeah, similar for sure. Yeah, that Wes he's tough as nails, man. I really like that guy. You talk about full effort. He wasn't even the one holding the bow, but man, I pushed to my limits, and like, I know he did too. So yeah, he was a great partner for that hunt, and he just likes big adventure and tough hunts. And he killed a bull later that year, which was his goal during his rifle season. He had been hunting a place for a lot of years, finally came out on top. I was really happy to see it. But yeah, that guy's tough as nails. But I love what you said. It's amazing when you believe in yourself and you believe in your skills, how many times you accomplish the impossible. Like,
Mhm.
it is so tough to harvest some of these big mind-blowing trophies. But if you believe in it and you can continue to put forth effort, it's amazing how many things come together in the last day, or second to last day, where if I would have given up day 5 or day 6 or called it after I missed that buck, I'd never have those feelings of accomplishment, of accomplishing my goals, and being on top of the mountain. So yeah, I think that's a big part of it, is self-belief. And to build your own confidence, you have to put in the work. Like, confidence and arrogance are two different things. And to actually have confidence means that you put in the work, you put in the preparation, the preseason prep, done so much to be successful. And in that, we have belief in ourselves of what we can accomplish. And yeah, sometimes it doesn't seem like it's going to come together, but I'll be damned if I'm going to quit.
Yeah, it's I was pretty fortunate to learn that. Probably like my most important bow hunting lessons from Roy is like his confidence never wavered. It wouldn't matter what happened. It was like, we're gonna get it done. And I'm like, yep, we're gonna get it done. And like, I didn't believe we were gonna get it done for a lot of years, but he did. And so
Yeah.
I would just say what he said. And then it's amazing what that you make different decisions when you believe you're going to get it done. Because if you're like, no, this isn't possible, then you just you have a different mindset. So you're making different decisions, like in crunch time or in lead up to crunch time, or you're taking shortcuts, because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that this is too hard. I can't overcome this. Whether you say it or not, you're thinking it, and it affects your actions. So conversely, when Roy would say, it doesn't matter what happens, we are going to get it done. And we would always say, like, if no man's ever done it, perfect. That's what we want. If We'll see if we can. If any man's ever done it before, well, we're definitely going to be able to do it. And it's like that. I didn't believe that for a long time, but he did. And so I'm like, okay, well, now I believe it too. And it's just, yeah, it's just like that mindset, just being, God, just optimistic. Roy was the most optimistic person, and then the hardest worker also, and then the best in the mountains also. So I was so lucky. I wouldn't be who I am without Roy's influence. And that's been since he fell, that's been the hardest thing for me, is like, yeah, I am who I am as a bow hunter, but just missing that um I just talking bow hunting with, with my best friend. That's been hard, but I'm always like, his legacy lives on through me, and I'm just going to try to honor the lessons that I learned from him from being in the mountains. And it's like, if number one, if nobody takes anything away from this discussion, it's just belief. Just like, I got to stay positive, and that, man, that can go a long way.
Boy, he exemplifies undeniable, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, he's the best I've ever seen. But yeah, so I think, people know about him from my books and my stories and things like that. But if you don't have to know him, just know that. Just know that, that was Roy, and man, you can be like that too. You just have to believe.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. You have to believe and put in the work to get there.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's it. It's it's such a multifaceted, this bow hunting. It takes so many different skills, and I think that's kind of the beauty of it. Here we've already talked about mindset and physical fitness. We've talked about instincts, and then yeah, it really is a life's pursuit, like improving at all these skill sets. And like you said, you're still learning, I'm still learning, I'm still getting better. And I love that problem solving aspect of it, the climbing the tree to shoot those couple bulls to get your wind out of there. That's something that I haven't used. I've climbed a tree to get a better vantage point on things, but I've
Mhm.
never done that to get rid of the scent. So, a lot of this is like, being a student of the game is like you listening to me and Sean Mellon's conversation and getting takeaways from that. Like, there's so much information out there that you can take in, and then you just have to apply that knowledge and that experience to your own hunting where you can apply it, and
Mhm.
I think that's the beautiful thing with all the information out there, is that we can learn from these conversations, we can learn from these individuals, we can exemplify these characteristics that we look up to, that of people that are successful. And that's like what your book did, is like to be able to highlight in that people, those individuals, and how they think and how they go about it. And even longer form is to listen to your podcast and those in-depth conversations with all those people. You were able to give us the cliff notes and what's really important in your book with those individuals, but the conversations are even more powerful. And I think that's like part of the beautiful thing of is our journey as humans, is like we can continue to improve, continue to get better, and continue to put our all into these things that we love to do.
Yeah, definitely. What I'm curious, like, where do you think that, I mean, I know where I could improve. I feel like I can improve. Do you have things you could improve on, do you think, as a bow hunter?
Yep.
What are the areas you're focusing on right now?
Yeah, so physical fitness is a big one. As I'm getting older as well, and I want to be in the very best shape I've ever been in. And I'm playing around with this idea of shrinking mountains, like being able to cover more distances, being able to look at peaks and not have them be as far. And to do that, it's putting more miles on, put more muscle on my frame, and it's teaching that muscle endurance. And so I'm really focused on physical fitness, but I think every aspect. I think as I'm doing that, I'm honing my mental toughness, like doing these cold tubs, getting in the workouts 7 days a week, like making my runs longer. Like, instead of just getting in a 45 to hour run in, like, I'm doubling that. I'm doing a couple hours to 3 hours, and I'm just making the time. Like, I can look at my screen time, anybody can, and go, I can make more time to put towards what I truly love to do. And along with that, honing my instincts. It seems like the further I get along in bow hunting, the more I can implement patience into these scenarios. And I love to be aggressive. I love to give myself a chance. Like, I will cross mountains. There's no hole that's too deep that I won't go chase a bull in. There's no buck that's too far. But I also have to mix patience in that, and see when they're susceptible and move in, and really listen to these instincts as I'm making decisions, so I can be more clutch in those moments. I think also my shooting, I work really hard all year long on indoor every single day, and more arrows, of aiming in the middle, really spending time with this tune of my bow and my broadheads, and shooting at 3D targets, messing with vanes to find the most aerodynamic vane that doesn't wind drift as far. Like, I think like every different facet of bow hunting, like there's areas I can improve, but it's almost everywhere. Like, there is no ceiling or no limit to how good I can get. And so I have to be clutch when I find these animals. I also have to be really good at finding them. And so it's spending a lot of time e-scouting. It's setting aside time for these hunts and managing it with the podcast, managing it with my construction company to give my all during season, to where I don't have to show up at the job site taking care of everything. Like giving myself those days, the e-scouting and finding areas, likely areas, and then getting to scouting. Like I've got a high country tag this year, and I've got really big ambitions. And so I've set aside as many days scouting as I'll set aside hunting to try to find this next level buck that I believe exists in this unit. And so really for me, it's trying to get the most out of myself. It's also trying to get the most out of these units or these places that I'm hunting. And so, man, I think it's about every aspect I can really improve it. I don't have many weak points. I like kind of grow them all at once, but there's improvement to be made everywhere for me.
Yeah, I'm curious, like when you're looking for that animal, are you focused more on antler size or age? Like if there was a giant 3x3 that might be 185, but big sway back, gray face, as opposed to like a prime 210. What, like if you I mean, we're not going to be in that position, but just pretend we are. Do you love old or giant?
Oh, I love old, man. It's like, give me those older age class, the gnarly and bladed tines and horns. Now, I definitely take a 210, but there's a difference too. Like you can find a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old that'll go 185 or 200 inches, and he's not to his full potential yet. And in that case, I'll shoot his running buddy that's a 3-point that goes 180, because that's the one that gets me excited. And it means more to me. Those older age animals, like they don't know the rack on the top of their head. They just know they have to survive in that environment, and they get really good at it. So when you can outsmart an animal that's 7, 8, 9 years old, 10 years old, that's lived in this environment, he's been chased by hunters, by mountain lions, and he's learned how to exist and spread his genetics. Like those are the bucks and bulls I want to take for sure. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, same. I love old, gnarly. I'm not a big score guy. You know, it's we throw around scores just because it's good comparison, measurable. People know it. 300-inch bull, 400-inch bull, 200-inch buck. It's all fun, but like I like just gnarly old things. But I was going to throw this out there to you. And uh, so I was sitting there, and I don't know. I I think this should be a good lesson. So that big bear came in. One other time he came in. As I said, I saw him 3 times before I killed him. But he came in, and he came in and out, and it was getting dark. And up there, the sunset's very late, and it was getting later each day because we're still going towards the latest or the longest day of the year. But anyway, that bear came in, and he was in. I just did not have a good shot. And then I had a good shot 12 yards away. I look at my phone. It's like 10:48. Sunset 10:45. You can see the bear. Or no, sunset was 10:15. So you got till 10:45 to shoot. It was 10:48. 3 minutes passed. I can see my pin. I can see the bear. I couldn't do it. I couldn't shoot him because yes, it's illegal. A lot of people a lot of people might have justified that to themselves, but to me, I was thinking that animal deserves to be taken under legal, perfect conditions. And I could justify it to myself probably in some way by saying, oh, well, this is sunset's different up here. It's like hard to know exactly where when you're this far north, this and that. And I just couldn't do it. And I'm just curious, like your thoughts on that. It's like, what do you think? I mean, to me, I know what you're going to say, but to me, our animals, they're the animals we pursue, deserve the very best. And I put that into also making good shots, to not forcing and not because you got an expandable, not saying I can get it in the guts, it's probably going to kill it. To me, I got so much respect for their life and what they've been able to overcome to live to this old age, as we've talked about, that they deserve the very best, both legally, ethically, everything. And I don't know. I'm not saying it was hard, because I just was like, no, I'm not going to shoot it past time, and I'm just not going to. But um, it just reminded me of, like, I think one of these magazines used to have a situation ethics. Oh, it was RMEF or Bugle had situation ethics, and they would talk about. I was just thinking about, man, that'd be a perfect one to talk about in that old article. But yeah, just curious on your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's why you're one of the greats. It's morals and ethics, and man, it's like tough to kill these animals that we care about and love so much. And you talked about that black bear earlier, and you talked about how you almost felt bad that you were going to harvest him. And I have this dilemma as well. But I think if, like, nobody would have known, you could have killed that bear, you could have been a hero, you could have justified it to yourself. But the deal is like, you're going to be faced with the right and wrong decisions a lot of times in your bow hunting career and a lot of times in life. You have to be able to make the right decision when nobody's watching. And if you don't, it's going to catch up to you. Like, eventually you're going to make a mistake, or you're going to bend the line too far. And then everything you've ever accomplished, like, at least for me, it's like if I shot an animal after light and that came back on me, like, they're going to blame, they're going to say every animal he's ever shot, like, he's a poacher, he cheats.
Right.
And yet I've been faced with those difficult decisions a million times over. And to me, it's not a question. Like, I hold my ethics and morals at a really high value. It means a lot to me to do the right thing. It means a lot to me to have my wife, my family, and friends know that I am a good person and a good guy. And that's not even with, like, harvesting animals. It's just like friendships and relationships as well as making the right decision. And so, yeah, I mean, I've found a 220-inch buck that crossed over the line into a different unit, and he bedded in the perfect spot to kill him, and nobody would ever know. And I'm 15 miles back, but there's no way I can do something like that, because once I bend the line there, I'm going to bend it somewhere else, and then it's going to catch up to me. And if I really believe I'm a good person, if I really believe I make the right decisions ethically and morally into this game of bow hunting that I love so much, I can't shoot that bear 3 minutes after light. There's no way. I'm same as you. And you're right. It's not a difficult decision for us, but it is something worth mentioning, that I will do whatever it takes to be successful. But it has to fit inside my framework of being ethical. It has to sit in my framework of being legal. And there are things that are legal that, like, you can use radios down in the desert of Arizona for bucks. And, it's not a huge advantage there. You got somebody on a vantage point, like, it's legal there. You also have to make the ethical decision if that's the right way you want to take that animal. Nothing against anybody that wants to do it. It's allowed by law. But yeah, I think for guys like us, for any guy out there, like, you're going to be faced with these decisions. You're going to be faced with these difficult decisions. And there's going to be times when nobody's watching and nobody will ever know, and you can be the hero, but you will know inside your heart. And when you're faced with the right and wrong decisions, you've got to choose the right every time. And that'll pay off way more, like you harvesting that bear in the end. And it'll pay off where you can be proud of that trophy and proud of what you did. You don't have to look at that bear hide and think, gosh, I shot him a couple minutes after light. So yeah, it's I think you have to live your life that way. It's like the only way.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I think just talking about it, because people will be faced with situations like that, and I just want them to make good decisions, because I just know we can justify the most screwed up things in our head. But as you said, if I looked at that bear, if I'm honest with myself, I would know. I would know. And, like, how could I look myself in the mirror? How could I? And then, as I said earlier, that I don't think those type of actions are rewarded in the long run. You might have killed that animal, and you might get some accolades right then, but I think in the long run, it's just not going to work. I think, as I said, the universe, it makes things right eventually, and you're not going to be rewarded for decisions like that in the long run. And that's why I wanted to talk about it. I just want people thinking about, there are very, very hard, tempting things out there when we're faced. And you also said, it's like, what are you doing when no one's watching? That's the true measure of a man. So anyway, just wanted to have that discussion on here, just because I thought it was important.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think we have to bring it to the forefront of people's minds, so they make those same decisions. And I love that. I love your saying about the universe doesn't reward that. I have this thing that I do that has caught on through podcast listeners and through people on my social media, that every time I see trash, I pick it up in the mountains. Like, I want a good experience in the mountains. And so no matter how big it is, I pick it up. And now I've got all my buddies doing it. I've got my listeners doing it and things.
Yeah.
And I tell them that it brings good luck. I think the universe rewards it, like keeping the mountains clean and picking up. So now it's almost a fight between me and my buddies if we come across a piece of trash of who's going to pick it up, because that gives you good karma in the bow hunting world. And I've killed enough animals now to like, and it's a bit like a self-filling prophecy is like, it's, if you believe it, it can come true. And that's with the test with the sugar pills, or I can't remember exactly what they're called, but a lot of people get the effects of it because they believe in it. And so if you believe you put good out in the world and you get good, it comes back to you for sure. And the universe does reward you. So, you pick up every piece of trash you find everywhere. I do it on job sites. I do it on, it's just the way I live my life. But now it's caught on and making even a bigger effect than I can do. And I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, no, placebo effect. But yeah, if you believe it's helping, it is. It's like people have asked me about, like, I get stem cells in my shoulder and stuff like that. They're like, well, does it help? I'm like, I believe it helps. So yeah, it helps. It's just like whatever your brain tells you, that's the truth. But yeah, I mean, it's that mindset. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, God, there's so much that goes into being a successful bow hunter, but from picking up trash to just making good decisions to working your ass off and, being married to the game, essentially. Um, it sounds like, I don't know. I love that bow hunting is cool and people want to be badass bow hunters. It's just really fun to see this, like, just this excitement for what we love. I was curious, you've had a couple hunts already this year, right?
Yeah, so I'm in one now, yeah, in spring bear season. Yep.
Oh, did you go like to New Zealand or somewhere?
Nope, I didn't go to New Zealand. No, I was going to. Dan Picard invited me, and we were
Oh,
just
that's fun.
short carpenters. So yeah, I'm kind of putting all my effort into the fall. But yeah, I am hunting spring bears. It takes a big one to get me excited. It's been a heck of a season. I've got this weekend left, and I'm using it a lot for scouting this really rugged country that I'll be hunting elk in this year, which is like these giant mountains with rock tops, granite tops, and it's just classic Montana country to hunt bulls in. And so really using it to cover country and learn some new vantage points, learn some country, and get ready for the fall. But yeah, that spring bear hunting is pretty fun. I like it in the mountains. It's a tough game, but it takes like days of field, and they're difficult to get on. Like, you never spot them close. Like, the stalks are always these huge goes, but it's really fun.
Yeah, no, and it's like, yeah, just great practice too. But I love bear hunting just because, well, what I just did is different, but it's still like picking that spot, crunch time, the emotions of making good decisions and releasing a good arrow. I like spring bear just for like, just kind of gets me. It's hard after an off season to be back on your A game right away. It takes those reps for sure.
Yeah, I've got a Hawaii trip coming up where we'll chase axis and mouflon sheep, and we'll do 10 days out there with some really good buddies. And we pretty much like have the one of these whole islands to ourselves that we get to kind of roam and go for. It's a hot weather hunt, so I'm doing a lot of my heat training, training in the hot of the day, a lot of sauna work, getting ready for that. But yeah, it's awesome. A bunch of miles in elevation and really switched on critters. So yeah, that you're right. It's tough to switch on and get in that mindset of hunting. And I think these early hunts can definitely get you in that frame of mind. And so, yeah, I love like early season antelope spot and stalk. It just sharpens my skills. And, the first stalk of the year, it feels like I'm like a little nervous or a little wound up where, I'm almost like the adrenaline gets to me a little bit more. Like, even my footfalls are like tougher. I'll find my foot shaking, or I'm just so excited. And after I can get a few stalks under my belt, it just starts seeming normal again. And I'm able to make good decisions. And so, yeah, I definitely like to get some of those opportunity hunts before the fall season for mule deer and elk kickoff.
Yeah, yeah. It's I think staying calm. Me and JB were talking about this. Just it's mostly about he was talking about bulls and horses and things like that, and then I was talking about animals that I hunt. But just how they can feel, they're so intuitive, or like to survive. That's how they communicate. Is this energy that we're putting off? So like when a bear comes in, I know what my heart rate's doing. It's not even changing at all. Whereas I've been with people where their heart's going crazy and that bear is just dialed in on them. And it's like just being calm in that situation. That's where I think like a lot of these reps help, because those animals, they feel that. I mean, we all know you don't want to stare an animal in the eyes, right? When a bull's coming in, you want to look at his feet. Everybody's has kind of heard that before. But I just think that staying calm, that keeping that energy calm, which is very hard to do if you haven't had the reps. But if you have and you're more comfortable out there, and then you get those first ones out of the way, as you're saying, and then when I'm at my best in my groove, my heart does not change a bit. Stock, shot, nothing. And it's like that allows me to get more high quality shots at relaxed animals. And I can't prove it. It's like one of these things. It's like the willpower thing with Huberman. I can't prove it other than I get it validated over and over and over again. And I'll say this, James will hate this, but I killed this bear. The first bear I killed 2 8-footers in Alberta, but first one I killed, we were over here and uh, John and Jen were going to bring in the buggy to get him. And there's another bear. Bear kind of bluff charged me. He's kind of like ornery a little bit. I think he got his ass kicked by these dominant boars. So he was looking to take it out on somebody. So he kind of charged me a little bit, but James wanted to go get pictures of him. And he was walking over to him. And I was just like yelling at James. I'm like, you can't fake it. And that bear would not move. I mean, James is like, trying to get him to go off, didn't want to get close, but I'm like, bear knows. And that bear knew James was scared and he's not going anywhere. And so then I walked over there, he takes off. And I'm like, you can't like the fucking bear, dude. The bear knows. And so me and JB were talking about that too, because these bull riders, I was like, when do you know it's time? Because we see these fighters who they should have retired, but they still love to compete, and then they're getting knocked out, right? So a bull rider, if he's on that bull, I mean, you have to have all this confidence, right? But you can't lie to yourself. So if you're an aging bull rider and you're on that, and you have these reservations, like, I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt. I asked him, I said, does that bull know? He's like, yeah, 100%. So I just like, part of this evolution of me as a hunter is that whole next level of mental or like, what's my energy? And I hate to sound all this, the universe doesn't reward all this, blah, 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 all this foo-foo bullshit. But I do think about, because I'm like obsessed with bow hunting. I'm obsessed with all of it. So I'm always like, I got the shooting, I got the physical, I got where else can I evolve? And it's this energy part. And now I've just seen it so many times, especially with bear, but with almost everything else, is like, I feel like I can get, people will talk shit about me saying this, but I feel like I can get high quality shots at relaxed animals because of my demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
Does that
Oh
make sense?
man, it makes total sense. I love that. There's so many correlations to my hunting. Yeah, keeping calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah.
The element of surprise is everything when I'm stalking, and to do that, like you have to have the higher understanding of the animals. You almost start to know what they're thinking, or just by their mannerisms and how they look. Like you can tell, like you don't even need to see the whole body of a bull. I can just see his antlers, and I can tell you if he's on edge looking erratic, or if he's looking my direction and he's heard something, or I can tell if he's just rutting around and feeding. Like I can tell what that bull is thinking. And the longer I bow hunt, the more patient I am in those scenarios, waiting for the right angle, waiting for the right shot, not forcing arrows, not getting too excited and having my adrenaline off the charts where I can't even hold my pin. Or like you say, I'm putting that energy out there. The animals pick up on you and they know you're there. There is a sixth sense there that you're tapping into, and that cool, calm, and collected. And then also, like you were in bow range of that bear multiple times, but a bear's vitals is a third the size of a whitetail. Like they're
Mhm.
fairly small. And it is like it is dangerous game. I know black bears aren't, grizzly bears aren't, like they're not as honored, but they're still, it is different when you hit a black bear. Like it's different than shooting an ungulate. Like you
Yeah.
have to make a great shot on them, and you have to put them down in seconds. And I've been charged by a couple of those bears that I've ran arrows through. And so it can definitely get to a dangerous situation really quick. But yeah, that calm, cool, and collective, that being patient inside bow range, not forcing an arrow, not forcing a bad angle, and just knowing this bow hunting that we do, it's really easy to make a mistake and to ruin your whole season by trying to force a bad angle or force it like through like brush and things. Like I know if I see a bunch of limbs in the way, my arrow is guaranteed to hit those limbs. I'm better to just stay in that situation, let it develop, let that bull walk out, let him give me that angle and that shot I'm looking for. And it is like getting comfortable with being close with these animals as well. So yeah, I really like that. That's like a sixth sense, or tapping into something that's not often talked about or discussed in bow hunting, but there is something to it, man.
Yeah, it's just that, well, I didn't say it as well as I meant to earlier, but to me, the animals deserve our best. And it's like you talk about not forcing shots, things like that. It's like I want to offer what I say, a beautiful death. A beautiful death is a perfect death, a perfect arrow. In my mind, a beautiful death is he never knew I was there. And arrow hits, he doesn't know what happened. 10 seconds, he's down. To me, that's my, if I envision the perfect bow hunt, it involves that. But regardless, they deserve our very best. And that means staying calm. That means delivering high percentage shots. And yeah, we can screw up. I screw up, but you control what you can control. Um, One thing about like these super old animals is like that first bear that I killed, I talked about, is how sensitive they are. He followed the sow in, and I'll just say, this is just like, I almost screwed this up again too, but he followed the sow in. This was after the giant bear had come in 3 times. So this is like a few days later. This is a different 8-footer, but he came in and I'm like, okay, I'm getting an arrow in this thing for sure. So I come to full draw and I'm getting ready to shoot. I built this ground blind and my elbow hit like this little tiny stick off the back. I had some brush behind me to break up my silhouette. It just went, I mean, like the smallest little, it broke it. That's all that took. That bear was gone. I was like, are you kidding me? And luckily the sow didn't leave. And so went over in the timber, disappeared for maybe 10 minutes, but came back. But it's like, they're so sensitive. So it's like, I need people to really understand. I mean, you got to make perfect decisions. And that one little thing, I had thought I had drawn my bow many times and I didn't hit that thing, but that angle, and I broke that, and that almost cost me that bear. But I got another chance. It's just like I'm just obsessed with the finer aspects mentally, my setups, reading these animals, having a connection with these animals. It's just like, I think, we talk about we're always getting better. I think that's one thing. Um, I mean, you can always improve on that. And that's going to, help our success for sure in the mountains. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just want to share that story too.
Yeah, it's great. It makes a way better experience. That perfect arrow is what we strive for. And if I make a crappy shot and still get the animal, it doesn't feel nearly as good as when I perform well under pressure, execute a perfect shot, put a perfect arrow in that animal, and he runs off and dies in sight. Like that to me is a trophy experience. And the longer I do this, like it's the enjoyment of the hunt, of the challenge, of being in the mountains, of trying to arrow this critter. Like that's the real enjoyment for me. And so I'm just trying to take it all in, but it is a trophy experience when you put a perfect arrow in that animal that you're after, control your emotions, wait for the right shot, patient. Like it means twice as much to me as to just get the animal.
Yeah, I remember being a young bow hunter and I didn't care how it died. I was just like, I'll shoot 100 arrows. And that's what it takes, I'll borrow arrows from somebody on the way to it if I run out of arrows. But I was like, I don't know if hadn't developed the respect for the game enough. I was more I think I was more like obsessed with success at that time and not obsessed with the art of bow hunting. And so I've changed. I've changed from that. So I I would expect people listen to this and they would be like, I don't care how they die, how the animal dies. I just want to kill it. I don't care if I spine it, femoral artery. It doesn't matter to me. And I get that because I was exact same way. But now, for where I'm at now, after all these years, if I do make a poor shot and I do kill the animal, I do feel bad. I apologize to the animal for the additional suffering, and it does affect me. And some people will, you know, they'll criticize me for even that, and that's fine. I'm just saying that as we evolved, it's like that respect for life, I think, impacts how I prepare for the hunt also, because when I have so much respect for that and I want to offer, as I said a number of times, a beautiful death, you have to prepare more. You have to be at a higher level. If you're just trying to hit it and you're relying on an expandable broadhead to just cause some damage and you don't care how long the animal lives before it dies, you're preparing differently for when that animal, you're only going to deliver a perfect arrow in the perfect situation and make the perfect decision. It's just another level of this art that we call bow hunting.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm same. Early in my hunting career, it was just get them killed. It was accomplish the mission, accomplish the goal, and now it's about the experience and, like you say, offering a quick death, and it means a ton to me. And yeah, like you can call it being softer, but it's like I care about these animals and I want to give them a beautiful death. Like that is the goal. And yeah, I think the further we go along making those decisions, it means as much to us as harvesting the animal or more, or really adds to the experience. And yeah, it does take a higher level of discipline and dedication. So yeah, I think as we evolve and continue to bow hunt, we start venturing into that side where I don't need to kill every animal that I see. I've proven myself enough. Like I want to do it the right way and put a perfect arrow in that animal I'm after, and that's my goal, And and I think you have to believe it too. It's not something you just say. Like you have to believe it in your heart and prepare for it, and it makes you a better bow hunter overall.
Yeah, and I see hunters also. They'll come on my page and I'll talk about why we need to kill old boars and how old boars are more devastating on ungulates because they're just really good at killing. They need more protein because they're bigger. And I see people just, the other hunters will say, just say you want to kill big animals. It doesn't matter. Who cares? You don't need to justify it to everybody. And I'm like, no, we do, because not everybody understands a hunting lifestyle. I have a lot of people on my page who don't hunt. So I think if we're just assuming, or we don't care what people think, or we don't care about the messaging on what we post and how we share our hunts, it's going to come back to bite us because we are a small group of people. So people might hear this and they think that we're talking, at too much, getting too emotional about this. But I think explaining this in this way, and then also being very cognizant of how we post and the words that we associate with our kills, and also the photos we're putting up, makes it's going to make a big difference on how we preserve hunting and our rights to hunt, and just how a non-hunter perceives us. So
Yeah.
I just, I mean, there's going to be some guys who were like us when we were younger who might hear this and be like, what are these guys talking about? You might get there, you might never get there, but just think about what you're putting up and how you're talking about your hunt.
Yeah, you're really speaking for all of us when you put a post out there, and your message is speaking for all of us, and it's speaking to what we truly love to do. And yeah, I think we have to really think about, like you say, our pictures and our words and how we portray bow hunting, because ultimately, it is the people that bow hunt that are going to be voting, but it's also the people that don't bow hunt and how it's portrayed to them. And be easy to get the wrong idea from poster pictures or things that you put out. And, it can be brutal at times. And like, and not every shot is perfect as well. It's like animals can move, things can happen, wind drift. Like it doesn't always happen perfect, but you have a responsibility to put that animal down. And some of those situations are the toughest to be in. And in that moment, you can't beat yourself up. You like have to get the job done and do everything in your power to get that animal harvested, but yeah, I think that's an important message that you're putting out there to hunters, is like, make sure you're portraying things in a positive light. We have so many positive things with what we do, and being able to feed our families with this nutrient dense organic protein, and there's so many good things, the challenge, the men that makes us this experience we're able to have in nature, this predator prey, like we love it so much. Like just make sure that you're portraying it in a positive light, and think about not only the hunters that are going to see your message, but also the non-hunters, because this is something that I'm going to do, that I want to do, that you want to do till the day we die, and we have to protect it and do a bit of self-policing as well. So I think that's important.
Yeah, it's if I could share, a story about, so I hunt with John and Jen Rivet. They that's where I hunt in Alberta, but Scarface is what we were calling this old bear. So it didn't seem like it was going to happen, but I killed Scarface, right? And I couldn't believe it. He went about 100 yards, piled up, giant bear. So I called John, he's been outfitting he's been guiding for like 37 years, I think. Who knows how many bear hunts, but we both share love and respect for these bears. So I call him. I'm standing over Scarface, and I said, John, guess what? It's like, what? I go, Scarface is dead. And his voice started cracking. I mean, mine's, I could start my voice could start cracking right now. It's like, that's what hunting means. It's just like so emotional, and it's like, it means so much. It's like, that was a chess match for decades, essentially. And it's like, we're not just bloodthirsty killers. We love, I don't want to say love these animals, but we respect them. We might love them in some way. But we honor the natural order of things. The natural order of things is, I'm a hunter. That's an animal. As a hunter, I kill that animal to take the meat, to honor the animal. And at that moment, on that phone call, it was like, uh, we've shared a lot of hunts, and it's just like such a special experience right there. And he was just like, I don't know, it's just, that's what hunting means. And that to me, that exemplifies who we are as hunters, and how much we love the pursuit, and how much we honor the animals we're after. And if nothing else, I just want people to understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, same. I killed one of my best bulls to date last year, that 7.7, and I got to relive it a bit as we're doing the editing on the film now. And I shot that bull. I had a great shot on him, and but I caught liver and one lung, and I gave him 30 to 45 minutes. And the deal is it was going to be 55 degrees that night. I know that elk meat will spoil if I leave it overnight.
Mhm.
So I had to take up trail on that bull, and it was 30, 40 minutes later. I thought it was a great shot. He had great blood everywhere. Like, it's obviously a lethal shot, but I jumped him out of his bed. And I had to give him 20 more minutes. And then I was faced with this difficult decision of, like, I know I'd get him in the morning. I know he'd be dead. I'd lose all the meat. Like, how can I feel right about that? Like, I've got to take up chase now. And so I started blood trailing that bull. At last light, I caught up to him in the timber. He was bedded at 20 yards away. I arrowed that bull. He took his last breaths in front of me, and my cameraman captured all of that. And at that time, it wasn't elation or excitement, or it wasn't any of that. It was like this bull's life. Like, and I tried to explain it to the camera, these animals that we do love so much, that we respect so much. And this bull had lived out all these years in this mountain range and had been successful in spreading his seed. And then here I am as this bull takes his last breath. And to be honest, it wasn't being happy. And there was a tear shed. Like, it's a powerful moment. So yeah, I mean, maybe when I was, there has been times when I'm really excited when I arrow an animal, and then there's these other feelings that come along with it that I think I'm just better tapped into now, where as I get older and I reflect upon it, it's like it's difficult. It isn't always excitement and elation. Like there's also some sadness that this bull like lived out all these years in this mountain, survived all this, and fell to my arrow. He's now dead. This great bull, 7-7, that lived on this ground is now dead. He's no longer, and it yeah, I think when you really listen to yourself, you listen to your heart, you listen to these feelings and you tap into it a little bit more, there's more appreciation that goes into it. I think there's more appreciation when I cook a steak for me and my family, or we're enjoying burgers like we were last night or whatever. Like I think about that bull, I look up and I see his antlers on the wall, and he lived a lot of years to be successful in that country. And yeah, it's kind of like I don't know. It's just mixed feelings, mixed emotions the longer I do it, where taking a life to me doesn't come easy. It isn't bloodthirsty. I don't want to kill every animal that I see. Like I love the species and I love the challenge in hunting them and being in the mountains, but it doesn't come as easy for me. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's well, and I think that's why you're so good at sharing what you love, and just the way you convey your message. I think it's because of that love and respect that we have for the game of bow hunting, and just the pursuit of these animals in the mountains. I think that's why people resonate with what you say, and it's why you're successful. And I love to see it. I mean, I really look up to you. I admire how hard you work. I admire your approach. And yeah, I'm really glad that we've had a chance to talk about all this.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Likewise, you've really paved the way for bow hunters to be able to make a living in this industry, and not just make a living in this industry, but to be able to enjoy the adventure of it, the challenge of it. You're just a great spokesperson. So yeah, I can't thank you enough, man, for taking the time, for your friendship, for your support of me. Like you're always supportive, anything you see me. And man, I just really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. So yeah, thanks for the friendship, man.
Yep, of course. Of
Yep.
course. This is a fun discussion. I always love talking bow hunting.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, thank you. Okay, super. All right, well, that's a wrap. Thanks for being on the 500th episode. Meant a lot to me. So keep in touch. Let me know if you need anything from me. And thanks again, Cam.
All right, brother. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. That's a wrap. A really fun conversation. It's full circle for me. Like used to run to the mailbox to get Cameron Haynes's writing in the Eastman's Bowhunting Journal when it came out. He was a huge inspiration to me. The Backcountry Bowhunting Guide to the Wild Side, that book really changed my course as a young man. So it's full circle to be able to be on his podcast, to be able to have him on this podcast for the 500th episode. Is amazing. And just really appreciate him taking the time. I know how busy he is, and it's just the kind of guy that he is, that would take time out of his schedule to help a fellow bow hunter. He does so much for our community. Like I say, so impressed by the fight for the public land sell-off here lately. And just the way he talks positively on the podcast about representing bow hunters in a good light, about making the right decision, about doing the right thing, about giving the animal an honorable death. I love what he said, like about how the universe doesn't reward that or does reward that. I like believing in that stuff. So anyways, just a great human being. Thanks a bunch to him for taking the time, being on the podcast, doing this extra long episode. And thanks to you guys for being loyal supporters of mine through social media, through this podcast, downloading these episodes. It really helps out. And this is beyond my wildest dreams, to be able to make a career in the outdoor industry, to be able to have a successful podcast and a voice. And don't take it lightly. I'm constantly trying to work at it, improve it, and bring you guys the absolute best content I can. So thanks a bunch to you guys. I also want to thank our sponsors. Man, it's we have such great sponsors here on the podcast, and they've given me so much great support over the years. So I really appreciate these guys putting their name behind me and Eastmans Elevated. So thanks to Eberly Stock, thanks to Federal Ammunition, Cryptech, thanks to Matthews, Thanks to Mountain Tough Fitness. Thanks to Onyx Maps. Thanks to Silencer Central, Zamberlin Boots, Outdoor Edge, Sig Sauer. Thanks to Stone Glacier and Forever Barnwood and Secure It. So thanks to those sponsors. And also special thanks to Sig Sauer for getting us the gear for the giveaway, and also Spot Hog. So again, that giveaway, I'll put a link in the show notes. It's the 500th episode giveaway. So just go to eastmans.com/elevated500, or you can click the link. And basically, we'll make it easy for you. We're giving away a signed copy of Cameron Hanes' new book, Undeniable, which is a great book. Thanks to him for donating that to us for the giveaway. And also, we're going to be giving away some of Cameron Hanes' apparel. We're going to be giving away the Sig Sauer Image Stabilizing Scope. We're going to be giving away Spot Hog Booney Sight and Wise Guy Release. And we also have some special Eastmans Elevated shirts that we'll be giving away and that will be for sale on the website. So you can check those out. And thanks to you guys for all the support. Been training hard, getting ready for the fall. I've got a hunt coming up here I'm super excited about. So we'll be headed to Hawaii with some good friends and hunting some rugged country in the heat, which will be really fun. And not too long after that, it starts. Was lucky enough to pick up an antelope tag. I've got some mule deer tags, including a high country one, including a late season deep snow bitter cold, like some rut hunts. I've got some elk tags. I've got a full season planned and couldn't be more excited to cut these legs loose and let that new Matthews eat. So thanks a bunch, you guys, all the support. Sure appreciate it. And I'm just really grateful for the life I get to live and adventures I get to go on, and a lot of thanks to you guys. So that's the episode. All right, thanks. We'll check in with you guys next week.